Hi everyone, it's Melanisha with Just Homesteading. We are out in the garden today. It's the end of June, which means it is time for another garden tour. So much has grown since I did my last garden tour in May of 2023, and I don't know if it's been exactly 30 days, but if not, it's very, very close. So I'm just going to show you what the garden is looking like now. I haven't weed whacked this week. I weed whacked last Monday, so I'll have to weed whack again soon. But I think overall the garden is doing well. There are some things that are doing better than others, but I will just show you everything, show you how everything is looking. So yeah, let's turn this camera around. Okay, so I'm at the front entrance of the garden. The first thing that you see when you walk in is this planter of corn. This is the pink popcorn. It has grown a ton. And if you look real close, we put some beans in here. Oh, maybe a week ago, maybe less. But as you can see, they're starting to pop up. So we'll get some green beans here. Next, we have the stacked planter, spearmint, mint. These are Georgia collards. I'm probably going to pull these out of here and put them in the raised beds. They're just not doing as good as I would like them to. I knew the leaves wouldn't get that big. This was more of an experiment. But yeah, I think I'm going to move them so they can actually reach their full potential. This pepper plant, I don't even know why it has a pepper on it. It's not doing that well. And here we do have a small cauliflower in there that probably won't get that big. And then there's also some parsley down there. So these plants are doing okay. Then we move right into our first bed. The Swiss chard is looking very healthy. We have some zucchini, the nasturtiums. It's really hot, so today I think it's about 85 degrees, so some of the plants are taking a beating with this heat. These peppers have finally started to perk up. This tatsoi is actually ready to be pulled. The marigolds are looking better, except for that one over there. I don't think it's dead because I see some green on it, but it doesn't look that great. And then the brassicas are not loving this heat. We have some zinnias in here, peppers, and this parsley is attempting to take off. And then the roselle, it hasn't grown much, but it's trying. Okay, and then as we move into the next raised bed, and throughout the garden you'll see, because there's one here that I missed, that I plant a lot of squash and mainly zucchini in the corners of my raised bed. So we have some cabbages in here, peppers, more Swiss chard, kohlrabi. So we probably have about 7 kohlrabis that are ready to be pulled. We have kale, celery, another squash plant, and then this is my pak choi. It's just about ready to be pulled. So you can see these little pods here have the seeds in them. I'm going to go around to the other side of this bed so you can see the zucchini that's growing. And then you can also get a close-up. Yeah, so there's a kohlrabi, there's one. They're all ready to be pulled. And then we have our first 2 zucchinis right here. So there's one, and there's one. I think that one got pollinated too. So I haven't started hand pollinating. And look at that one. That's a Cossack kohlrabi, so it's huge. Okay, and then this is the third raised bed in this row. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show you. We do have more broccoli growing.
Yeah, you did it.
You'll probably hear a whole lot of, oh, there's more, as I forget to show you things in these raised beds, because everything, like I said, some things are doing better than others, but I think overall we're off to a good start. So we have some cabbage, and I'm actually hoping this cabbage gets ready soon, because I did put, just trying to get a good angle for you. I can't see it. There's a squash. There it is. Under these leaves. So the sun is not hitting the plant the way it should. We have more celery in here. This is the rapini broccoli. And you can see we do have little heads forming. So we walk around. More celery, more broccoli, and this, let's see if I can uncover it. That's the biggest cauliflower in the garden right now. More celery. Do you think this is collards? Lots of Swiss chard. Again, there's another squash. So yeah, I plant the squash on the outer edges of the bed, so they can just hang over and not take up too much space from the other plants. Our purple kohlrabi is ready, and they're getting lots of shade. Okay, and then this is the second row of raised beds in the garden. We have the dinosaur kale. And just so you can get a sense of what this row looks like. And then the other one is over here. But we have another cauliflower here. Some celery. I threw a tomato plant in there. Some more Swiss chard. So we love our brassicas. I love my leafy greens. We probably eat them twice a week, if not more, around this time. We have a cabbage here, collards, kale. It's another cabbage here. So the heads aren't as tight as I think they should be, but that's okay. We have some celery and cucumbers back here. The cucumbers should grow up this trellis. I put some eggplants in here after I pulled out kohlrabi. And check this out, guys. I didn't even realize that this had started until I think yesterday or the day before. So I came in here and I cut off all the branches. And hopefully you can see that, but Brussels sprouts. So the plant is not that big, but we'll definitely get enough Brussels sprouts for probably one dinner. And then I have one more Brussels sprout plant in here that I had to, so you cut the bees off at the bottom so that way the energy can put plant into growing the Brussels sprouts. So, and then you can eat these. So cook them the way you would collard, spinach. I just add them to my leafy greens. Onions. Look how tall these are. Oh my goodness. So these onions should be ready in a couple of weeks. So these are the Alyssa Craig onions. And here's a nice big one down here. don't think the camera is going to do these guys justice, but they are huge. And if you look closely, you will see some volunteer tomato plants in here. So I had tomatoes in this bed last year, and there's probably maybe 5 or so tomato plants in these raised beds, and I'm not going to pull them because by the time they get big, it should be time to pull the onions. These are the candy onions. So, and again, we have some really nice big ones in here. They look amazing. And then over here, so this is back at the front section of the garden. This is our root vegetable bed. So there's carrots in here, rutabagas, turnips. I don't know that there's any more radishes in here. They bolted. They don't like the heat. So I pulled them. We have beets in here. Since I pulled those radishes, I did come through and plant 3 more kohlrabi plants. Since, as you guys know, if you watch my other videos, my son especially loves kohlrabi. So I'm trying to keep them planted in the garden. These cabbages, they're not doing that great right here. Probably because the entire garden gets full sun, but this area especially gets a lot of sun. So I don't think they like this spot, but I'm not going to pull them just yet. Okay, so this is the 3rd row in the front section of the garden. Okay, again, more onions. The onions in this bed are the ones that we've actually been eating. The yellow granix, which is the Vidalia onion, which I'm pretty sure will be done first. And as you see, I actually see some of the stems starting to fall over. So yeah, I think these will be done July 9th based on when I planted them. So if they are on schedule, that's when they'll be ready. And I actually need them to hurry up because I need this space for tomatoes and peppers. I still have a lot of plants in the greenhouse. Oh, the sun just went down. Thank you for the shade. This is the garlic bed. And as you can see, I have already started to plant my tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants in this bed. I'm not expecting a spectacular harvest from the garlic, and I will likely pull these next week. And again, I need the space, and since I don't think that they're going to get that much bigger than they are, I pulled 2 yesterday and they were okay. I'm just gonna pull them and try again next year. These are the Katahdin potatoes. So yeah, there are 10 pounds of potato seed in this bed. They've grown a lot since the last video that I did. Oh, and you know what? See, I told you I was gonna forget to show you guys something. So this is in the corner of the garden. This is a planter of red Pontiac potatoes, and they look great. And then over here we have another stacked planter. There's some fennel, some melons, basil. This eggplant looks the best out of all of them, I think, because it's slightly protected. The other ones are getting devoured by pests. And then I have some squash at the bottom. The other one's over here. No idea what they are, but I guess we'll see once they start growing. And then there was a marigold here, but it didn't make it, so I'm gonna plant something else there. Back over here. So this was there used to be spinach here. I pulled it because it bolted. And now I have cucumbers and melons in here. I threw a zinnia in here. There's some dill, And guys, I already see cucumber beetles in my garden. So this is why I know things look crowded, but some of these plants aren't going to make it because of the bugs, because of the pests, and just survival of the fittest. And you'll see that when I show you the other space with cucumbers. And then we have lettuce. The lettuce surprisingly is doing pretty decent in this heat, and I actually need to get out here and harvest some of it. Okay, so this is the next bed. Sweet potatoes. So these guys are looking rough, and not just because of the heat. Some look better than others, but I lost some to a frost. But they're not looking as good as I would like them to. So I'm hoping they perk up. And you see I had tomatoes in this bed last year. That tomato is actually looking really good. And I bet you it's a yellow pear. I will probably dig that out and replant it somewhere else because I don't think it's a good companion plant for potatoes. I have some thyme over here that started to flower. And then I'll give you a look at the onions from this side. Yeah, I definitely think these guys are almost ready. And then back over here, we have lots of squash plants. We have another purple kohlrabi that's not ready yet. I've put some peppers in here. There are a few garlic plants in here that again will get pulled when I pull the other ones because, like I said, they just don't look that great. And then this is the bed where my chamomile is that I harvested recently. More squash and this Russian tarragon that I still need to tend to. We have potatoes along this fence and pots. The soil, I added extra soil a little late, not a little late, a lot late. So that's why they look the way they do. And some of them I still have to add more soil to. And they're not as dry as they look because we've been getting a good amount of rain to the point that I haven't had to water. And then we have one more right here. Yeah, and this is the only pot or raised bed where I planted full-size seed potatoes. The rest, I cut them down into smaller sections. Okay, and then on this side of the trellis, we have more squash. We have some, what's over here? Cauliflower, Swiss chard. My beans look terrible. I have no idea why. I'm gonna plant some more, but I mean, I put seeds in. I bought start plants from one of our local nurseries, and even still, like, they just don't look that good, and I don't know why. Again, more squash. And if you look at this, so I had potatoes in the ground in this section last year, but that is definitely a potato plant coming up through this bed. So I have no idea where those potatoes are, what variety it is, because I put cardboard down underneath this raised bed, so it pushed through. I'm gonna leave it where it is and see what I get. Here, lots and lots of tomatoes, peppers, and I'll probably have to take you around the other side. The marigolds are starting to perk up. There's basil in here, zinnias, and then in that corner down there, that's the only artichoke that I have actually been able to get into the garden. And again, in this bed, more basil, more zinnias, more tomatoes, nasturtium, marigolds. And like I said, you know, I love putting squash at the corner of the beds. So that way they can sprawl out and not take over space from the other plants. And up here, I used to have peas, but this is the second year that we're not going to get any peas. It just got hot too fast, and the peas, they don't like the heat, so they didn't do that well. So I've come in and I have put in my melons, so hoping that they do better than the peas. Fingers crossed. And over here you'll see that I have my grapevine that looks fantastic, but I have no idea what variety of grape it is because I didn't put a tag in. Or if the tag is there, I didn't see it. And then coming back over here, let me put this camera down some. So these are those cucumbers. So if you go back and you look at my previous garden tour video, there were a lot more cucumber plants in this section. And as you can see, a good bit of them have died. So I actually may come in here and put in some cucumber seeds. These guys look great. And as they get bigger, I will trellis them up the fence. This, I think, I'm pretty sure these are poison sumac. There was one in the other bed that I have to come in and get rid of. But yeah, the cucumbers look okay. Nothing special at the moment. And then down here we have some winter squash. I think there's spaghetti squash down here and candy roaster. Oh, and does anyone know what this plant is? It has just kind of pinkish flowers. It's coming up through the cinder block. I think it's pretty, which is why I haven't pulled it, but I don't know what it is. If anyone knows what it is, let me know in the comments. Okay, so I think that's it for the front section. We're going to move into the middle section of the garden. Okay, so over here we have our rows of berry bushes. We have currants, and I will walk up the row with the blackberries because we got our first blackberry yesterday. My 19-month-old, I think blackberries are his absolute favorite. So he got to eat the first blackberry. But this, sorry, there was a bug on me. But this plant has a good number of blackberries on it. And up here, you can't really see because of the weeds, but there is a trench of potatoes growing here. And I couldn't really weed whack over here because I was scared I was going to hit my potato plants. Again, more of what I'm pretty sure is poison sumac. My mulberries look terrible. I have no idea why. The mulberry I planted last year looks really great, but these guys are struggling. It's not the heat. I don't know what it is. I mean, I fertilized them just a little, but I'm not exactly sure what they need to get them growing and looking healthy, looking and actually being healthy. So if you're an expert in mulberries and you know what I might be doing wrong, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, so there's berries, there's raspberries planted throughout this section. The elderberries, they haven't started to sprout yet, but I won't pull anything until the next season because, sometimes these plants come in the mail and they look like dead sticks. but then they will amaze you the next season. So nothing will get pulled because I won't know if it's dead until next season. But yeah, there are raspberry plants over there. There's a big one right there. So over here, this is my fullest bed of strawberries. So I definitely think that I need to thin this bed out for next year. So all of these beds will have strawberries and asparagus in them. So I will just move them. And then I'll also plant some of the runners. This is my very healthy asparagus in a place that it shouldn't be. But I don't think that I can move it. So I'm going to have to build. I might actually just build a bed along this fence line right here. More strawberries here and some asparagus. So yeah, the asparagus in this raised bed doesn't look as healthy as this big boy over here. So I am losing the battle to the weeds right now. So there are onions in this bed. You can't really tell because of the amount of weeds, especially those right there. They're like a demon child. They are, they have, I don't think they're called thorns because they don't actually look like thorns, but it's a spiky type of weed. It has a very long tap root, and I can only pull them out with very thick gloves on. And I don't know how to get rid of them. They just keep popping up. Like, look at this one. I mean, there might be more weeds than onions in this bed. And the bigger they get, the harder the spikes are. There's this grape, you can barely see it because of the weeds, but I just planted this one this year. It got hit by the frost, but it did come back. Over here is where we have purple kale, weeds, and more onions. And I planted this flower. I think these are my red cosmos. Over here, this is my herb bed. This is one of those areas that's not doing as well as I think it should. I likely overplanted this bed, but they're not growing too much yet. So there's basil in here, oregano, chamomile, lavender, dill. There's probably some fennel in here, lemon balm, parsley, sage, stevia. My pineapple sage got killed by a frost, so I ended up just replacing it with regular sage because I couldn't find any more pineapple sage when I went to the store. There's some cilantro in here that has already started to flower. And then over here, this is my horseradish bed. There's also some strawberries in here. Overall, it looks pretty good. And you'll see lots of cardboard in here because the plan is to put this cardboard on the ground so I don't have to weed whack and mow as much, but I just haven't gotten around to it. This is the rhubarb bed. There are strawberries in here also. And these guys actually look really good. I was worried about them for a little while, but it seems like they have finally started to perk up. See that leaf? Probably 2 leaves at the bottom that I need to pull off. But yeah, they're starting to look really good. This is the Canadian rhubarb, so I will likely add another variety in a different bed next year. Okay, then we go back over here and we have blueberries. So this blueberry plant looks really good. This is the pink lemonade blueberry. This one is also pink lemonade blueberry, but it doesn't look that great. And these all got, we got a frost after berries were on the plants. Here's this one. And this one probably has the biggest blueberries on it. You can see them better from this side. And this is the last blueberry plant. And my kids, even though I tell them to stop throwing their balls in the garden, look what we have here. Now we are moving into the last section of the garden. To the left, we have the corn bed, and if you guys watched my garden mistake video, you know that the gate was left open and something got into the garden, and whatever it was definitely got into the corn bed, and you can tell because look at how the corn has sprouted. So I will likely have pollination issues. I did come in and add in some more corn seed where the gaps are, but with all the rain that we have coming, I don't think that they're going to be able to catch up. So I might have to come in and hand pollinate, or it's just not going to be the year for corn. So we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope we get something, but I am not too optimistic at the moment. But on the other hand, the squash looked really rough when it went in, and they have all really started to perk up. So most of the squash in this bed is winter squash. Since this back space of the garden is for the most part empty, I am really hoping that they just kind of sprawl out and take over this space. This big one right here is a pumpkin, but there's a bunch of different varieties in here that I would have to look at the tags to see, but it's pumpkins and winter squash. But yeah, this bed is looking okay. Back here we have our pots with potatoes that need more soil. I forget what kind this is, but I know that this one is the red Pontiac, and this one, it's funny because it looks really great, but I had planned on dumping this bed because I think whatever got into the garden used it as a toilet, because it smells really bad, and I don't think it's the soil because the other pots don't smell like that. Okay, and then over here we have an old baby pool. These are wildflowers, I'm pretty sure. I planted them here last year, but they never sprouted. And there are a few squash plants in here. They got hit by a frost, so I don't know, they're just not growing that great. And if for some reason they don't make it, I will just let the wildflowers take over this section. Okay, and lastly, in this area, we have potatoes. So, for these potatoes being dug up shortly after they were planted, they look really good. I need to come in and add some more soil. But yeah, I'm pleased with how these look, especially since these were dug up by some kind of animal. Oh, and I caught a bunny in here yesterday. I just happened to come out, and it was trying to get out, and it couldn't get out because for most of the fence there are landscape staples, but there are some gaps. But then this huge bunny literally just jumped out of the fence. So I go over, I check it out, and there's a hole. And I likely did that with the weed whacker. So I kind of overlapped it and put some landscape staples in. So it's a temporary fix, and I'll have to come back and patch it. And then this is a 100-gallon grow bag with sweet potatoes. Again, my sweet potatoes are looking rough. These might actually just need some water. But yeah, they look rough. So fingers crossed that they perk up and we get a decent harvest like we did last year. We have some fruit trees in here. You know, I'll have to show you guys the orchard. I don't think that I've done that yet. So I'll have to make time to do that. And here's a close-up on one of my raspberries. And I'm hoping these get at least a little bit bigger this year because I would like to harvest some of the leaves so I can make some raspberry leaf tea. I'm walking back down to the front section of the garden because I actually have, this is my rose. There were roses on here recently, but it looks like they died. But there is a plant in my garden that I'm hoping someone can tell me what it is. And I forgot about it until just now. So, does anybody know what this is? So I thought this was peanuts because I had peanuts in actually this exact spot last year, but I'm seeing this plant pop up throughout my garden, so I don't think it can actually be peanuts. So if anyone knows what this is, let me know. Oh, look at that. I don't think I showed you that. There's another little cauliflower in there. Yeah, and it's hard because my garden is a rectangle. It's really hard to get, you guys, like a nice view of the garden. I feel like I need a drone. We'll stand in this corner over here. Again, I have a lot of cleaning up to do in here. And I think the other, I didn't show you guys this. There's my other Brussels sprout plant. So I think I have maybe 2 more, but they don't look like these guys yet. Celery, it's getting there. Alright, so I think I have shown you everything at this point. Oh, actually, maybe not. Walk with me. We're gonna walk back up to the root crops. So I want to show you. And I don't remember, I have to check my picture because I don't remember which one this is, because can you see that in there? So it's either a purple top turnip or rutabaga. I honestly just don't remember. But it's a nice size, and I might actually pick that during my next harvest. But the carrots are nice and full. And let me move over to show you the beets that'll likely get pulled. Probably, honestly, now. Just trying to, there we go. You can see those guys in there. So we have red beets in here, yellow beets, and whole lot of weeds. Okay, now I think I'm done. Those onions. All right. Well, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.